Hello, everyone.
Hello, everyone.
Hello there.
So let's wait till the room fills in because we still see that there are people coming. In the meantime, I would like to ask you to mute your microphones just so we don't have extra noise for the beginning. Okay, we still have people coming in. That's great. Good. So I think we are getting stable. Regards to the participants. So hello everyone. My name is Andrea Motola. I'm the project coordinator of Bio4HUMAN project that is organizing this webinar. And to start, allow me just to say before we dive into everything that this session is also being recorded and live streamed on YouTube, just for all the GDPR and similar regulations and laws, so be aware of that. And now let me move my word to my colleague Lara, who will start with the introduction, what we are going to discuss here today, and what is the agenda, and then we're gonna dive into our specific topics. So let me share my screen with you and we can start. So a couple of technicalities when we are what we want to state before we start to discuss what we are going to discuss today. So please, your video and microphones are allowed to be open throughout the session. But when someone is presenting, we would really encourage you to keep them muted, and only when you are speaking, asking us a specific question, please go ahead and unmute yourself. And now about what I said before, this meeting is being recorded and also live stream on YouTube. So anyone who wants to come back to it, you have a chance to do that. And also the recordings of these meetings will be made public, both on the Bio4HUMAN website, but you will get also the links on our social media. So we very much encourage you to ask the questions because we know that we are bringing here two types of stakeholders from two different areas. So for us, it is really great to have such a bridge, present today during the session. And after that, we really want to also stay in touch with you. So please go ahead and visit our social media channels or subscribe to our newsletter, and this will be of the great use to keep in touch throughout our activities. What I want to also highlight is today's agenda. So as you have signed up for it, we are also going to discuss the challenge of solid waste management in the humanitarian action and the project goals of our project Bio4HUMAN. And then we're going to give the word to our humanitarian organization partner People in Need that going to present the results of the report that they have been working on and is actually discussing the needs of the humanitarian sector that have been mapped in two locations in Africa, in the Democratic Republic of Congo and in South Sudan, together with with other humanitarian organization that is a great partner of this project, and that is Polish Humanitarian Action. And then I will give word to Artur, our colleague from Pro Civis organization based in Poland, when we're gonna dive into the discussion what role can really the bio-based sector play in regard to solid waste management in the humanitarian setting, and especially the solid waste that is coming and he's being shipped as part of the humanitarian aid that is coming to specific humanitarian locations. So these are the points of our agenda that we're gonna hold on today. And we also would like to know where you are coming from. So later on, Lara will also share the Slido link in the chat, so you can also assess it now. Here we are asking you just two simple questions: which country you are coming from, because we would like to know where are you based, if you are based in Africa, because we had a lot of registrants from African continent, or are you based in Europe, or are you based outside of Europe, and how this relates to you. And second, we would like to know from what type of organization you are coming from, because it's important to us to know today who we have as an audience. Are you coming as a humanitarian sector organization, international one or national one, or are you a bioeconomy stakeholder or researcher of a specific bio-based industry that really wants to start connecting the dots between the products or materials or technologies that you have presented and you can really offer humanitarian sector. We all get into this endeavor because we really saw that the challenge is omnipresent and is very much needed to be addressed. And that's why also we are here today. What is the most important in this regard is also to present our project, because maybe you have heard about us on the social media and so on, but let's connect the dots and why we are meeting here today and under which auspices. So Bio4HUMAN project is a project that is really aiming to identify innovative bio-based solutions that are applicable for waste management in the humanitarian sector. We are funded by the European Union, by the Horizon Europe funding scheme, and we are part of the collaborative and support action there. This means that we are not conducting specific, I would say, lab research into this project, but we are really trying to find a solution that later on can be taken by either humanitarian sector or by the bioeconomy sector, and we will serve both of the types of the organization to connect the dots better. We have started our project in January 2024, and we're gonna end in June 2026. So this is something that really expands throughout the time of 30 months, but still you have a lot to learn and follow us according to this endeavor. On the slide, you can see also all the partners that are working on this project. A lot of them are here present also today in the audience. Two of them, Prosivis and also people in need, are also presenting to them. We are representing Inspire Sizes as a project coordinator. Therefore, have a look. We are really happy to have all these partners aboard and to work across the 9 work packages of this Bio4HUMAN project. So before we give the word to our speakers, I also want to present the challenge that we are facing, and maybe this is also the challenge that why you have came here today for this webinar. So we know that in the humanitarian crisis, we are mostly, and humanitarian organizations are focusing on the people and on their well-being. But what can be done is the fact that we can easily forget about the aspect of the waste that is being generated during the humanitarian actions, and it can really accumulate quickly and in large amounts, and this is a real challenge for local population. We see that this crisis is really growing in its urgency across humanitarian sector, and therefore our project is really trying to find the ways how to connect the humanitarian aid and the gentle treatment of the immediate environment that it is surrounded by, and the key aspects of the humanitarian crisis with a circular economy and with its aspects of the waste management and its core. So one of the sound solution that is coming and is being offered to address this challenge is to really deploy the innovative bio-based solutions, systems, and technologies. And this is why we are here today, and this is what we are addressing in our project for a specific set of objectives. So we are starting with the assessment of the scope to which the bio-based innovative technological solution and systems have actually the potential to be applied under the humanitarian context. And we start this, I would say, kind of bigger endeavor, bigger effect of scoping for the solutions by something that we have already did and that our humanitarian partners will present, and it is the somehow the definition of the needs and the cataloging of the needs, what the humanitarian sector really needs in the solid waste management. So this is something that you will hear about today. Maybe connect the dots with what you have been working in your specific field, or something that will open the door for new discussions. And now we are starting in the project the phase of really assessing the scope of availability of different bio-based either technological solutions, system, products, technologies that can be considered as solutions to the challenge that we are addressing today. So this is something that we are currently working on in the project. So keep in mind that today we are not here to present the solution, but we are here to discuss with you the potential solutions and hear your thoughts and ideas. After we scope for our solutions, which will set around April next year, we will start with the process of the life cycle assessment of the solutions and conduct the environmental life cycle assessment, and also map what are the best methodologies that really fit the management of this challenge. And in the second part of the project, what is very important for us is also that aspects of localization and understanding the specificities of different type of stakeholders that we are actually offering to these solutions, either be it bio-based stakeholders in the locations where the humanitarian aid is offered, all the local population or the local government. Therefore, what we need to pay attention is to evaluate the socio-economic and governance aspects of the solutions that we will identify. And what we will also conduct is actual feasibility, theoretical feasibility study for the solutions in the two African countries, the Democratic Republic Congo and South Sudan. After that, after we see if it's really feasible, this type of solutions that we are proposing, we will develop a set of guidelines and recommendations that either the policymakers can take upon, the bio-based sector, the humanitarian sector, finally all three of them together address and propose the solutions that are feasible and really replicable in the future for a wider types of humanitarian locations. So there are a couple of outputs that I'm highlighting here in this presentation. I'm not going to go one by one because this is quite extensive when I want to give a floor to our speakers. But what is important for us is also to understand that we are going through this phasing of mapping, of scoping, of the governance aspects of the knowledge and confidence and capacity building once we know that what type of solutions are being feasible. So what you can see in green are actually the parts of the project we have already accomplished and that you can already reach out and learn more about on our resources page on the Bio4HUMAN website. This is the stakeholder analysis of the project and the needs assessment report with a couple of actually useful tools for the humanitarian sector that can be used in the future when scoping for the needs of the specific location. And what is in the orange are the parts that we are currently working it. Therefore, we are looking and setting up the work to really identify the list of potential 6 to 10 bio-based solution. Later on, we will look at the gaps identification because we want to really understand what are the challenges when it comes to, for example, the supply chain of the specific solutions and specific locations. We are conducting, and what is also important us to be engaged with the community. So throughout the time that we were working on the needs assessment report, Maria and Anna will talk about it more. There has been interaction with the communities in the specific type of locations where we have conducted focus group discussions, key informant interviews, and also we shared survey with humanitarian organizations, either international or national ones. So it's really important for us to have the community engaged because without the community, I don't see even the scoping, but also even the agreement or the acceptance of the solution cannot be done. What is important for us is also to present the project and different various international events that you will see more in the future, since we just don't want to present us as a project, but also the results. And also what we are trying to achieve is to conduct several clustering activities with other projects. Therefore, if you are a representative of other funded project in the either under Horizon Europe umbrella or CBGU or so. So please go reach out to us. We have also sister project WARM that is working on the similar type of topic, actually the same topic, but the similar type of the endeavors as Bio4HUMAN. So you might see more of our clustering activities and solution in the future. So I don't want to take more from this floor. I hope you had the time to reply to Slido so our speakers also know who is their audience better. And for me, just a last remark before I move floor to Maria is to please go ahead and visit our social media, whatever is your comfortable social media. So go ahead and follow us. And you can also always email us on inquiry at bio4human.eu. This is the email that we always monitor, and we'll be very happy to hear feedback also about this webinar and so on. So I hope this wasn't too fast and it clearly explained what we are doing. If not, go ahead and ask. I will stop soon sharing my screen, so I will see also if there are questions when Maria starts to present. Okay, so do you have any general question about Bio4HUMAN for now? Okay, so I take it as Andrea was clear, and we'll move the floor to Maria Shmidova from People in Need, Czech Republic. Maria, we are happy that you're going to present this tremendous work that you have done under the Needs Assessment Report. So please go ahead, and Anna will join you as well.
Thank you, Andrea. I am starting to share my screen. Can you please tell me if you see it?
We see it, but not in presenter.
Yes,
exactly.
That's the next step.
Slideshow.
I know, thank you, Arthur.
Well,
okay, so it should be all good. Thanks, Andrea, for the great introduction. It was definitely all clear. So my name is Maria Šmídová-Skálová. I work for a Czech international NGO called People in Need. We are based in Prague with many country programs around Africa, Asia, Middle East, etc. And I work within the humanitarian unit as a general humanitarian advisor with a special focus on environmental mainstreaming, mainly of our activities. And I would like to introduce also my colleague Anna. Annie, if you could introduce yourself.
Yes, good afternoon or morning to all of you. I'm Maria's colleague. I also work for People in Need, and I work as a global monitoring and evaluation advisor. I think you already introduced People in Need, so I think we can get into the presentation now.
Yes, thanks a lot. Okay, so as Andrea was saying, during this webinar, we will be presenting the outcomes of the work package number 3 of our project, which was focused on assessing the needs of the humanitarian sectors with regards to solid waste management. And of course, we were thinking while doing this, how could those needs be potentially addressed by bio-based solutions, which is the goal of our project. So we don't have any solutions identified yet. That's the next stages of the project. And we will definitely be doing by the end of the project another webinar where we will be hopefully able to present the theoretical solutions that were tested by the feasibility study, etc. So originally we were thinking that the audience of this webinar would be mainly the bio-based sector who would be maybe interested in the solid waste management needs of the humanitarian sector, which might not be their usual floor of practice, but we are very happy to see all kind of participants also from the humanitarian field. Nevertheless, I will start the presentation by showing a couple of examples of bio-based solutions that have been already implemented in the humanitarian field or the general ones. And then we will jump right into the methodology of our assessment that Anna will explain. And then we will get to the possible challenges that the humanitarian sector is facing with regards to solid waste management, and also the challenges that might be there around the bio-based solutions to be potentially implemented in the humanitarian context. So in general, I really want to start on a positive note. Definitely what we have found out is that the bio-based solutions are welcomed by the humanitarian sector. That's something that's really interesting for us. It's an innovation that might have a great potential, but there are a couple of ifs. Mainly, the solutions need to be sustainable. They need to be addressing the environmental, economic, and social factors that are there in the humanitarian context, which is a very specific context, as the majority of you already know, of course. It should be adaptable to local conditions, and it should provide long-term benefits without unintended negative consequences. So basically, the solutions need to be based on local resources and knowledge. They should be locally appropriate and ideally empower the local people, context, situation, etc. So to talk a bit more in practical terms, what we have assessed that's already existing, this doesn't mean that the solutions we have encountered are ideal solutions. So they might be there, they might not be as sustainable as wished for originally, or there might be some things that might be still innovated in order to make them more sustainable. But anyways, just to give a couple of examples, so the quite famous thing that everyone have encountered in humanitarian context working there is the composting system for organic waste. There is the anaerobic digestion, and of course biodegradable packaging of different humanitarian items or products. I will go quite quickly through the presentation, but we can get back to any of the issues we have tackled during the discussion, or if you have questions during the presentation, please do not hesitate to jump in. One thing I'm really sorry, I forgot to tell, that I presented only people in need, but the whole assessment was done by people in need together with the Polish Humanitarian Action. We were covering the DRC and the Polish Humanitarian Action was covering South Sudan. But Anna will explain perhaps a bit more in the methodology part. So getting back to the examples of bio-based solutions, what's been also implemented in some contexts is the bioremediation. If it was a question, I didn't get it, sorry. Okay, let me continue. And or there is upcycling of organic waste into some useful products like paper from agriculture residues, etc. And there is also the use of biopesticides and natural fertilizers. In terms of products that can be used for the humanitarian interventions, it can be construction material made, for instance, the insulation panels made from the mycelium composites, bricks and other things for the shelters, the energy production, so the bioenergy, like biodigesters, water purification, so the bio-based water filters, for instance, agriculture and food security, again, biofertilizers and soil enhancers from compost, for instance, and or textile and clothing, such as sustainable textiles from natural fibers. This is an example from the joint initiative of different types of possible bio-based solutions as alternatives to petroleum packaging. So you can see the biodegradable plastic, compostable plastics, bio-based plastics, etc., etc. So these are like the general possibilities that, of course, need to be tested. Their sustainability need to be tested, how they are biodegradable, etc. And we will come back to this in the second part of our presentation. Okay, I will now give the floor to Anna, unless there are some imminent questions. Okay, I think Annie, you can go ahead.
Okay. So during our needs assessment, we identified in DRC and South Sudan, we identified 3 types of actors: academia, humanitarian organizations, and businesses that have been already researching or testing or implementing some of bio-based solutions or approaches. So in this table, you can see the summary of those. And what I can say is that most of these were usually small-scale pilot initiatives. And in terms of businesses, they were, but in general, all of them were basically more like using artisanal approach rather than like machinery. Well, I should also mention that the solutions that were piloted or tested by humanitarian organizations were usually like short-lived, usually just during the lifetime of the project, and they tended to stop being functional after the end of the project. On the other hand, the initiatives that were implemented by businesses were more long-lived and were basically functional. Usually we stumbled upon, I think, only one business that didn't manage to market their product, and they had to actually stop their production. So, and now for the examples that we could observe. Most of the examples were around production of fertilizer and compost, and these were also on the household level, but often also at the business and humanitarian organizations level. We also had a lot of examples of biocharcoal production. So there were several actors like Briquet du Kivu that used carton to produce biocharcoal. Then we have an example, for example, RDG in Goma, or University of Goma, that were testing or actually doing business with biocharcoal that was made from mixed organic household or field-based. And for example, GIZ also tested production of biocharcoal from sugarcane husks. We also had some other actors who were looking at biogas production. For example, Karnak Tobacco in South Sudan, or Official University of Bukavu or University of Goma and Diabas in DRC. There are also several examples of animal feed production, such as black soldier flies, larvae, again piloted by several different actors like International Institute for Tropical Agriculture or Briquet du Kivu, and so on. I would also maybe mention this International Institute of Tropical Agriculture also for another project that they are currently running. It's their second phase it's called RunRest project. It's also in Ethiopia, Rwanda, and South Africa, apart from DRC, because they are. This is a larger scale project where they are trying to return organic waste to the field as a fertilizer by creating linkages between coffee farmers, waste collectors, and waste transformers. Maybe another actor I could highlight is Congo Biotech, who are focusing on closed loops, and they have implemented several closed loop projects. For example, one connected with biogas production from animal waste, and the biogas was later used to heat chicken coops, and while the resulting bioslurry was applied as a garden fertilizer, and the resulting plant waste was also used for mushroom production. So there are a lot of examples like that. Maybe I can also mention a couple of international examples from international humanitarian organizations. We collected this information from a survey. So, for example, MONUSCO was applying bioremediation. We could also see some examples of use of biodegradable cups and bags during different events. And again, biogas digesters were also tested by ACTID and also been. For national humanitarian organizations, we can see again a lot of projects focusing on fertilizers, but we can also see creation of briquettes, eco briquettes for cooking, and also biogas digesters. Maybe the last that I haven't mentioned yet is mushroom growing that was implemented, for example, by official University of Bukavu or by GIZ. And actually, the last one is ignition stimulant produced from paper. Again, we have an example of briquette de cuve. So I think we can go next. Yes, this is just an example how Ardèche in near Goma, in one of the refugee camps near Goma, how they are producing eco charcoal from organic waste. Yes, I think we can move on. Thank you, Maria. So this is the end of the bio-based solutions that we were able to identify, and now to the methodology. So I will just try to go through it very quickly because we don't have enough time. But if you would be interested to learn more about the methodology, we will be able to share the presentation afterwards. And also the whole report is available online, so you can find more details there. So during the needs assessment, we basically tried to answer 5 questions that you can see on your screen right now. So the first one was what type of and what types and quantities of waste we can actually find in humanitarian settings. We were also interested in the current solid-based management infrastructure and systems that we can find in such settings. Also, what challenges and opportunities solid-based management in humanitarian settings is facing, and what are the main needs of humanitarian organizations when it comes to solid-based management. And the last question we tried to answer was what are actually the opportunities, how we can make the operations and activities of humanitarian organizations greener and more environmentally friendly. So our methodology consisted of secondary and primary data collection. You can see the list of secondary data, but let's move through that. You can read by yourself later if you are interested in our report. And then we had primary data collection that consisted of surveys. So we surveyed 29 national and international humanitarian organizations. Maybe you can go next. And we were able to also conduct 53 FGDs and KIIs with 5 stakeholders that we actually identified for this needs assessment, which are representatives of the governments, humanitarian actors, community, businesses, and academia. So you can see we managed to you can also see how many we were able to interview in different countries where we did the needs assessment. And lastly, we did 19 observations of solid-based in different types of settings, as you can see, urban, semi-urban, rural, and IDP camp settings. So I think that's enough. We can move on.
Okay, thanks a lot, Ani. Okay, and now so Anna introduced the methodology, and just to sum up really quickly, what were the main solid waste management challenges that we have identified. So for those that are who are working in the humanitarian sector, this might be quite obvious, but I want to sum it up again, maybe for our bioeconomy or bio-based technological or academia participants. So the first biggest problem was the lack of solid waste management functioning infrastructure and services like recycling. Then that was the lack of national policies or regulating solid waste management, but mainly their enforcement. There was no effective or in practice strategic planning for solid waste management. The coordination and linkages amongst solid waste management stakeholders was lacking or not sufficient, including humanitarian organizations. And what we have observed is that different stakeholders tend to work in silos. For instance, waste collectors do not create linkages with waste transformers, etc. The major issue, I think, for a lot of humanitarian organizations is, of course, funding, but also the HR capacities for solid waste management, or very often the solid waste management as a more structural problem is not a priority for humanitarian actors when it comes, for instance, for real emergencies or first phases of emergencies. There is very often lack of sustainable humanitarian procurement on supply chains. The technical capacities of different actors within the solid waste management sector is low. And what is really missing is quality waste data monitoring and research, both from government side, academia, or private sector, but also from humanitarian organizations. And there might be lacking the solid waste management awareness and mentality. The perception of responsibility is generally very low. So yeah, this is just a typical picture of how solid waste management looks like in different humanitarian contexts. Now, the issue we were facing from the beginning is that originally our project was supposed to tackle only waste coming from the humanitarian activities. But what we have observed that once the humanitarian waste enters the waste streams, it's impossible to see or to say what is the humanitarian item and what is like the general waste. Especially now when the trend within the humanitarian sector is to cutting down the use of our logos. And also when the cash is the primary way how to distribute non-food items, like the priority is to replace the distribution of non-food items by cash or vouchers whenever possible. Nevertheless, we have some examples. This is from REC, a very useful division of humanitarian waste. What is the humanitarian waste? I'm not going to go through this table in detail. You can see it as Anna was mentioning. We will be sharing this presentation, and also the whole report is online available for everyone who might be interested in the details. But we can see different types of humanitarian waste. Then this is just an example of what types of municipal solid waste we can see, for instance, in sub-Saharan Africa. So the 57% is organic, 13% plastics, 9% paper, 4% metal, 4% glass, and 13% other. This division was confirmed by the research participants, and who said that the main type of waste is organic and plastics usually. This is another table of waste in humanitarian settings. Again, we will share it. It's to be found in our report. Just to give an example, what types of waste we can come across in humanitarian contexts. And there is, of course, the packaging waste, which is usually the main domain where the bio-based actors are focusing on when they want to come up with some innovations, how to, for instance, replace plastics. But there are quite a lot of challenges linked to this, and I will come to them just in a bit. So I try to summarize different types of challenges that might be linked to the bio-based solution in humanitarian settings. This is not to discourage anyone from trying, because it's something that's definitely needed. And as I was saying at the beginning of this presentation, that it's definitely welcomed in by the humanitarian sector. This is something that was confirmed also through the survey we did with humanitarian actors. Anyways, the challenges, there are technical challenges that are quite hard to be mitigate it, and that's like to ensure the proper condition for biological processes such as biodegradation. This was something I was coming across quite often when doing the secondary data research, the reason why it's not always working. So something to definitely keep in mind, that the humanitarian contexts are very different and the conditions there are very different. Another technical challenge is to maintain the consistent quality of outputs and the scaling up from small pilots to larger operations. Then a quite obvious resource limitation, lack of initial funding, limited access to necessary materials or technologies. There might be also shortage, of course, of skilled personnel. So those challenges, those are just examples of challenges. Some are easier to be overcome, some might be more difficult, but I'm just like presenting them all. Then, of course, environmental factors, the climate extremes that very often we can encounter in different humanitarian contexts that are affecting the biological processes I was talking about already. A limited space, especially in refugee or IDP camps or in urban settings. And yeah, potential for environmental contamination, quite obvious. Another type of challenges or barriers are the social and culture. There might be resistance to handling or separating certain types of waste, lack of community buy-in or participation. There might be cultural taboos. So especially those social and cultural, there are, I think, important to be mindful of, but if done properly, they can be overcome quite easily, I would say. There might be operational challenges, how to integrate new systems into already existing waste management practices or mostly non-existing waste management practices. How can we ensure the consistent waste separation at source? How can we manage odors and pests? The economic viability, how to create the sustainable business models. Anna was talking about it a bit when she was mentioning different types of bio-based solutions implemented by small businesses or initiatives. Another challenge can be limited markets for end products in humanitarian contexts or competition with cheaper, non-sustainable alternatives. Regulatory hurdles, sorry. This is something I was also mentioning that we have assessed that the regulations within different countries that are of humanitarian context might be unclear or non-existent or too complex, etc. It can be difficult to obtain different permits. And yeah, there might be knowledge gaps, lack of local expertise. Again, some of these challenges can be easily overcome by well-designed strategies. The data are lacking generally, but limited data on long-term effectiveness are definitely lacking in humanitarian contexts. Logistical issues, huge issue in itself, difficulties in transporting, challenges with reliable supply chains, seasonal variations in waste composition and volume. And yeah, stakeholder coordination. It's very hard to align different interests of multiple actors, be it NGOs, local and international, local authorities and communities. It's very hard to ensure the consistent support across different phases of humanitarian response, which also comes to balancing short-term needs with long-term sustainability goals. This is something we are encountering in our practice. I think all of us that are participating in this webinar and are from the humanitarian or development sector. And monitoring and evaluation. There is no consolidated or appropriated metrics how to for the success in these challenging environments, etc. I think those are the main challenges. There are quite few, as you can see, but as I was saying, I think it's important to be mindful of those when designing the bio-based innovations or any type of innovations, but it's also good to know that a lot of them are definitely easily manageable when we have a good design, when we involve the communities in the design, etc. So I think we don't have time to go into another examples of technical barriers. We can maybe come to those within the discussion. I can show also some or send you some links of some examples, such as the eco-tarpaulin, which is a good example that was done by UNHCR and partners, and they shared their methodology of LCAs and everything. So I can share it by the end of this webinar. And and other examples of technical challenges for biodegradability I was talking about. So these are like more practical examples we can touch on during the discussion. And Andrea, I'm sorry, I am not sure how much time we have. Can you help me with this?
Sure. I would say we have like last 3-4 minutes. If it's
Okay,
fine
so
with
I
you.
will just skip this part, but we can come to this during the discussion, because we wanted to show why is it important to have the comprehensive approach to the bio-based solutions. So we have different parts of this issue. Many of those are linked to the challenges I was mentioning. So if needed, we can come to this part at the end or during this discussion. And thank you for your patience and listening. Yeah, that's all from our side. And I think we can now open it to discussions, Andrea, for a bit.
Sure. Yes. If you have any questions to Maria,
Okay,
her team.
I wasn't able to follow the discussion in the chat, but please go ahead, anyone, if you have any questions about anything we mentioned during the presentation or anything that that can be linked to the assessment we did.
We had one question in the comments about, I was just typing in answer, so we can answer it live. But Gabriel was asking like what kind of composting technologies we are considering as feasible options. So we were in general in this challenge we are really open to all the bio-based technologies that can address it, and you can reach out to Arthur about that. But specifically throughout the report, actually, Gabriel, you were mentioning food and agriculture organizations. So we also had one type of solution about the composting project in one of the refugees camp. About the activities with regard to waste to compost processes. So this is one of the projects, and also I have a link for the project RunRes from IITA that was covering the efforts on the compostability. But really now we are looking specifically more for the solutions in the upcoming months. So the question is that we haven't scoped it yet to the fact that I can tell you what we are looking for. Now we are looking for it. So I don't want to give some, I would say, remarks on where do we start and where do we end. But Maria or Arthur?
Yeah, thanks. I see a hand raised by Violetta. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hello everybody. Thank you very much for the workshop. It was very interesting. I have a question regarding this preliminary assessment that you have done. Maybe two questions. I'm working in a research center, so I'm not so familiar with the humanitarian context. So I would like to know exactly what is understood by humanitarian context or operations, humanitarian operations, and then if it's your conclusions that you have reached in this initial screening about the situations could be also kind of translated to other type of situation that it could be, for example, the rural areas in developing countries with lack of infrastructure and so on, and how translatable it is. Your findings to this other context. So thank you.
Okay, thanks a lot for the question. So we, within the report, we also made this, or we tried to make this clear by using one of the definitions of humanitarian context that exists. But basically it was around, if I remember correctly, it was around a humanitarian context is any type of context where when the crisis happens, so it can be like the nature made crisis such as earthquake or floods. Or the crisis like a conflict. So this is the context, and then the need for humanitarian intervention is there. So all the actors, be it national, international, are coming and delivering the aid. What happens, and maybe this is linked to also the second questions you had, from the humanitarian, very often it can come to the protracted crisis, which is the case of both the scenarios we are working in, DRC and South Sudan. It means that the humanitarian crisis is so prolonged, it hasn't developed into a development context, and it wasn't solved because the roots of the crisis are much deeper than just an earthquake or a crisis. So it's ongoing, and actually the protracted crises are happening more and more. But what can happen is that there is a crisis also within a development context, such as Ethiopia. You can have a development context and some minor, or not so minor, sorry, some smaller thing is happening, and that's considered also humanitarian. So definitely what's happening, that the bio-based solutions, I think that should be proposed on humanitarian context, ideally should be scalable to some different, or if you adjust them properly, they should be usable also for different development contexts. And I think honestly, by observing different contexts in my work, the barrier between the humanitarian context and development, it's often very fluid.
Maria, maybe one thing that I would add is just about all the tools that have been developed alongside the report, because I think this is really great when you are trying to assess what are the needs of a specific location. I see as a very great value of the report that there is observation tool, how to observe ways at the specific locations, what to ask specific type of stakeholders. There are the guidance towards the key informant interviews and so on. Maybe Maria, just a bit about that, because I think this is like such a great replicability for exactly this context.
Yes, that's yeah, of course. Thank you for this. Yeah, we had the whole methodology developed by Pin and Pach, but I will leave this for Anna, because she is the one who developed it mainly.
Okay, thank you. Yes, so as I was mentioning, during the methodology, we identified 5 different types of stakeholders. So we developed tools that can be used for different representatives of these 5 types of stakeholders. So I can name them again: government, humanitarian actors, community, businesses, academia. So we developed tools that are, we have FGDs, KIIs, survey observation tools, the ones that we actually mentioned in the methodology, and they're available on the website that I shared in the chat. So you will find the report, but you can also look at these tools. And we decided to make them publicly available, just in case anyone would like to use them. You can use them, you can adapt them. They are quite extensive because we try to cover a lot of things, as you could see when I was presenting the 5 research questions. So you can basically, we decided to make them available to the humanitarian community to use as they need. You can just use part of it, or you can use the full tool, or you can adapt it to your needs. So I think that's it.
Thank you for this. Do we have other question? I think we have 1-2 minutes to still answer. Thank you also for all the notes and also the picture of the challenge of the plastic vase in Bukavu. We appreciate also. Also throughout the report, you can see pictures from the locations that the report has been assembled. So they very much like um, like showcase that what is the challenge ahead of us. Good. Okay, so if we don't have the question now, we are going to link it with the bioeconomy and bio-based sector, So Artur, I would like to give you floor now, and please go ahead.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. I hope you can see my presentation now. My name is Artur Sobolewski, and I am representing the Polish Foundation ProCivis. We are partner to the Bio4HUMAN project, responsible for the scoping activity of all the potential bio-based solutions which could be of help to the humanitarian sector. Actually, the purpose of this thematic webinar is to present the outcomes of the Humanitarian Assessment Report, which was done by People in Need and Polish Humanitarian Action. But now the project moves to the next phase, which is the scoping exercise of the potential bio-based innovations, bio-based technological solutions, which have the potential to be applied under the humanitarian context with the positive effect on the environment. We as ProCivis are a leader of this task, but all other bioeconomy actors, partners from the consortium, are co-responsible for this endeavor, and they are Spanish ITENE, Spanish IMPLAS, Universitat de Cantabria, and Irish Bioeconomy Foundation. And now my task is to briefly tell you why are we optimistic about the task ahead of us, and what type of solutions are we going to look for, and where are we going to look for these bio-based solutions. Let's start with a few facts about bioeconomy. We are optimistic about finding the bio-based solutions, mainly because the international bioeconomy has been very dynamic in the recent years. World economic powerhouses have increased engagement in this sector. The second factor is the growing interest in considering bioeconomy as a source of solutions to deal with the global and humanity's basic challenges, such as climate change, biodiversity, healthcare, food security, and of course we can add here the protracted and ongoing humanitarian crisis. The importance of bioeconomy is also growing economically. It is estimated that the value of total global bioeconomy will reach $30 trillion in the next years. And the fourth important factor is the growing importance of biotechnology. The topic of the biotechnology is actually not new, but what is new are the new tools like digitalization, automation, and artificial intelligence, which are boosting the development of global and national bioeconomies. This graph shows the number of patents submitted in the field of biotechnology in the recent years, and we can see that biotechnology is outpacing all other sectors like information services, pharmaceuticals, technology, hardware, semiconductors, and other. So this is an important element and a good news for us that more and more patents have been submitted in the area of biotechnology. There are plenty of definitions of bioeconomy, but what is important from the Bio4HUMAN perspective are the repeating elements in these definitions. They are products and processes orientation, importance of innovations, role for residues and waste, sustainability and protection of environment. All the elements have been already mentioned in the presentation by Mari and Anna, and are important also for our scoping activities. So we will be searching for products for innovative products, for technologies dealing with residues and waste, for sustainability solutions and solutions which take care of the environment. What are the bio-based sectors, or where are we going to look for bio-based solutions? Actually, there are 4 pillars, let's say, of bio-based sectors. Primary sectors like agriculture, forestry, fisheries, and aquaculture, quite obvious. Manufacturing sectors with food, beverage, agro-manufacturing, bio-based textiles, wood products, paper, bio-based chemicals, bio-based plastics, biofuels, and bioelectricity. So these sectors, we are hopeful, will deliver bio-based products, bio-based technologies helpful for dealing with the humanitarian generated waste. The third pillar is management of bio-based waste and remediation, also very important from the perspective of the project. And the fourth, also present in the Humanitarian Assessment Report, are the construction materials of bio-based character. Not only bioeconomy should be helpful to our endeavor, but also the circular bioeconomy paradigm, which is developing quite rapidly at the moment, as the circular bioeconomy paradigm relates strongly to the circular and durable product design and to the waste management issues. Those 2 elements are crucial for finding the bio-based solutions. Actually, what are the potential bio-based solutions created, designed, and delivered by the bio-based sectors? Of course, they could be bio-based products, bio-based technologies, bio-based processes, bio-based systems, and bio-based innovations. Mari and Anna have already presented a few examples of the potential bio-based products which have been applied to the humanitarian context, and we will look now more deeply in the bio-based products which have succeeded or about to succeed in progressing from early ideas to a final product placed on the market. Especially, we will be looking for bio-based plastics, biofibers for textiles, bio-based construction materials, bio-based packaging, hygiene and sanitary products of bio-based origin, and bio-based lubricants. Some examples already developed by business entities are disposable tableware derived from bio-based feedstock, ointments, fiber-based flexible bags, sleeping pads, or bio-based cleaning products. But not only bio-based products will be in the area of our interest. We are also looking for potential bio-based technologies dealing with solid waste management or solid waste issues like composting, bioremediation, waste bioraffineries, black soldier fly bio-waste processing, and vermiculture. I saw in the chat already people who are dealing with these technologies and are ready to present the newest developments, which after going through the life cycle assessment could make to the short list of bio-based solutions we will present as the final outcome of the project. There is a lot going on at the innovative side of these resource recovery technologies. One example is the Waste Advantage magazine presented on the photograph. We are also very hopeful about the bioraffinery concept, which is also developing extensively in the recent years, especially as the bioraffineries have the potential to be integrated in a wide range of environments, from small-scale plants using agricultural residues to large plants using waste from surrounding industries and municipalities. So as the question was presented, as the crisis moves to a protracted crisis, this type of technology could be of help for the society and for the development of the region affected by the crisis. A Circular Bio-Based Europe joint undertaking is supporting strongly this bioraffinery concept. We see here two examples of the projects: Circular Biocarbon, financing two first of their kind bioraffineries converting urban waste into 4 value-added products, and Resolute, which establishes bioraffinery providing a biodegradable, harmless, and bio-based solvent, which constitute alternatives to the fossil-based chemicals, and they are using waste from pulp and paper industries. So what we are about to do, we are looking for the bio-based innovation waves, not for the products which are already implemented. We hope to find new innovative solutions which comprise potential of nature's biological functions and abilities of available technologies in order to deliver bio-based innovations. For examples of potential bio-based innovative solutions which could have relevance for our consortium: solutions replacing non-renewable materials with concrete products conveying sustainability, solutions transforming the waste and utilizing the waste for innovative products with high energy efficiency, new and original applications of residues as a standalone resources for after further processing and mixing, and new ideas, new innovative ideas for recombining the bio-based materials and further ingredients. And now for conclusions and for thesis for the discussion after this presentation. As mentioned, bioeconomy and the sectors constituting bioeconomy are developing rapidly. They are delivering new and innovative bio-based solutions. From the perspective of the project, the bio-based products and bio-based technologies shall get the most attention. The bio-based products with potential of productive involvement into the humanitarian operations are already in the market. Moreover, they are already in the field, but more products are in the state of further technological development. And what is very important is this innovation approach, innovation technologies, or so-called in the literature innovation waves of circular and bio-based products which could impact the humanitarian settings. As the project is supposed to deal with the solid waste management, the management of bio-based waste and bioremediation is one of the pillars of the bioeconomy, and this subject shall be vividly present, is already vividly present in the theoretical and practical framework of circular bioeconomy, and we hope to extract from this theoretical and practical framework, mostly practical framework, solutions which could be of help for the humanitarian operations. And last conclusion, innovative bio-based technologies which deal with waste and residues are the key areas of our considerations. We are very hopeful about the bioraffineries processes which utilize different kinds of waste and are transforming this waste into value-added products. So this is this presentation shall serve as a kind of bridge between the already delivered strong humanitarian assessment report, which shows what are the needs of the humanitarian sector, especially in terms of the waste management, and the upcoming task, actually already started task, which is about scoping for different bio-based products, bio-based technologies, bio-based innovations, which could find their way into the humanitarian operations. Thank you, and now I hope we can start the discussion about the possible, let's say, mergers between the humanitarian needs and all the opportunities which could be offered by all the bio-based actors, bio-based sectors.
Great. Thank you very much, Artur. Very informative presentation, and actually thank you for also conveying the message to the audience what we are looking for, what we are starting to look for in the project. And I think it very much also links with the fact what Anna was saying also before, and Maria, about what is important is also the fact that we really want to make sure that the projects are the solutions and maybe the projects related to them are sustainable in the future, and they do not cease after short period of time. We are not saying that we are looking for solutions that I would say that that have to be like now developed or that are coming to the market, but we really want to assess also what is already working in specific type of locations, maybe what necessitates a certain level of alteration in order to support maybe the sustainability, maybe the different angles of the solutions in order to really make them applicable. So as we were saying in our one of our project meetings in the past week, is like we don't want to reinvent the wheel. We really want to assess what is on the ground and what can work practically. So we're really happy that that we have you here. Maybe I would say the implementers of some of the solutions, if you are coming from the humanitarian sector or area around it, or you are the solution providers here in the audience. So we would really like to hear about that. Piotr is asking, if we rather suggest centralized high-tech solutions versus decentralized low-tech solutions. So Artur, you want to answer that?
So at the moment we are at the beginning of this scoping activity, and I would say we are leaving the gates as open and as bright as possible. So we are not saying that only high-tech solutions could make the final list. If they are low-tech solutions which serve the purpose, because the most important is the purpose. So we are here to show that the bio-based sectors could really help the humanitarian operations. If they could do this with proposing low-tech solutions, why not? So of course, and innovation is not only limited to the high-tech technologies. So we can also experience innovative solutions in a quite, let's say, simple manner.
Yeah, I want to second that thought about the innovation and the high-tech solutions. Yes, of course, first of all, it's not necessarily these two terms equal, as Artur was saying, and also when looking for okay, let's say we introduce the high-tech solution, but we really need to understand to which location we are doing that. Okay, in some type of humanitarian location, it can be feasible, but in another, due to the infrastructure or other type of challenges, high-tech is not the solution. So as we were saying, the doors are open. This is why we have this exercise. And of course, we have certain investigation lines within the projects that we are looking, but we are not setting ourselves some also TRLs or high-tech versus low-tech or so on. I think it would very narrow down our approach. Yes, this wider one is a bigger challenge for us as a consortium, but well, this is why we are here.
Andrea, this is Nilo. Can I ask a question?
Hello, Nilo. Good to have you here.
Hi.
Yes, sure.
So I work with and for the bio-based industries consortium, and as we set up these bio-based value systems or value chains, we would like to steer them to where the products and the services that we make will find application, will find acceptance application, and there where it adds value and where it is good for humans and environment and animals. So what I'm interested in is, in this project so far, have you or do you have a feel of which market sectors or humanitarian sectors are most in need of, or which sector has the highest demand or potential demand for products based on bio-based material and technology, etc.? Because that will help us aim the value systems, because we can do several things. And so as we work in Europe, we look and we aim at sectors where the demand is there, or the demand is potentially coming up, so that we know that we do not make products and they end up in a tank and nobody wants them. So my question is, in this project, in humanitarian areas, we're looking at 2 areas in Africa. Are the sectors where the bio-based solutions and products will find rapid application, acceptance and applications?
Maria, maybe, and Anna, you can
Yeah.
state that based on the extended report that
Yeah, of course, I don't have one answer, like to say agriculture and go there. I think the issue we have encountered mainly is that the problems or the needs of the humanitarian sector are very structural. So everything is linked together. So I think this is something we are looking also into, that when we will be proposing some 10-6 ideal, let's say, bio-based theoretical solutions, I think we will be aiming at different levels and sectors. So it might be something more structural. It might be perhaps even proposing to help the initiatives that are already there with some knowledge or technologies to make them, for instance, scale up or make it more sustainable what they are doing. So as I was saying, the examples of what is used in humanitarian context, it's very vast. It can be from medical, which we are not focusing on within our projects, but it does exist, of course, for medical materials. It can be the biodigesters. It can be for agriculture, all the fertilizers. It can be different types of construction materials, as I was saying. But I wouldn't, from what we have assessed, I wouldn't focus on one sector or one geographical area. To me, it's something mainly to work with local initiatives that might be interesting and see how perhaps what they're already doing can be enhanced or changed so it's more sustainable, etc. So I think anyways, every time we need to do this perhaps a bit dirty job of assessment in the parts where you want to implement and see what the exact need and potential is there. But Anna, please don't hesitate to compliment me, or anyone else, of course.
If I may, Tadeusz here.
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. Nelo, thank you very much for your question. Maybe if you remember me, we were working together on the Polish report on the bioeconomy for a little while. And thank you for your question. And exactly what we will do now in this stage is to make a gap analysis. And this gap analysis will aim on kind of few levels, but among these levels, it will be 2 leading ones. One will be the sectors in which the innovation, bio-innovation could be more easily applied. And second will be the logistic chains. So we will look along the logistic supply chains in the humanitarian actions and see what are the gaps and what are the places to implement a best possible bio-based solutions. So now we are in the stage, so knowing about the needs, which has been done by humanitarian organization, having a knowledge about the bioeconomy sector potential, and obviously that's what Artur presented, and myself and our team is permanently involved, including, so we are also a member of CBEJU and big consortium, so we permanently follow the new technologies which are, or new technologies, new products, new solutions which are appearing on the market in the bio-based sectors. And having this gap analysis by sectors and having gap analysis by value chain, we will match our knowledge on the bioeconomy sector innovation with these various gaps which we will identify. And obviously, humanitarian sector is very specific, because that was such a question also on the chat, asking, okay, high scale, big scale, or maybe decentralized scale. And I may say, okay, I am a fan of the smaller scale, local scale, because usually bioproducts is very, maybe not difficult, but because biomass has usually not such a high value, so it's very difficult to transport, to move on the long distance, because the cost of transportation usually are very high. And in the case of humanitarian actions, to implement the large-scale innovation or large-scale technology, what is obviously, we are facing the economy of scale. That means, okay, it has to be a concentration of the products, waste as a product. So we need places we can only implement large-scale centralized solutions, in the places when the certain amount of waste will be collected and can be permanently supplied for the long time and so on. So it has to be few conditions related to the economy of scale. And obviously we'll look for such a solution in such a places when waste, solid waste is concentrated, is segregated, meet some standards, and we can process this using the larger scale approach. But I believe in the humanitarian action, most of the problems with waste are rather micro type and local type. And obviously we will propose the most sufficient innovation, but look at it, is it possible to apply in such a rather smaller scale? Because some waste is appearing along the supply chain. Some places like warehouses and concentration areas, when, okay, you may say, yeah, we have some spots when the amount of waste is larger, and we can think about the, okay, economy of scale and bigger solutions. But as I notice, okay, most of the issues related to the humanitarian aid, solid waste, is facing with very local problems. And another issue which make difficulties to implement very fancy, very expensive and long-term possible to need to operate technologies is also, so that many of the humanitarian actions are only periodical, or they last for the certain time. That is also need to have a little bit different approach because of it. Just responding a little bit, maybe too long in your question is, okay, yes, we will look everything which has been done historically and now is undergoing in the big consortium and all these very nice BBIJU and now CBIJU projects. But okay, we have to, in some cases, probably consult like with people like you. I'll be very pleased to have such a consultation. What is possible from this technology to be maybe upscale, or will be maybe downscale to be applicable in this humanitarian aid, humanitarian action solutions. Okay, so this stage, what was your question, is just coming. We are now working on it, and I believe some answer to it will be ready like in March 2025. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tadeusz. This was really great addition to it. And Anna, you also wanted to add a bit to what was Maria discussing now about
yes. So I agree with what was said. I would just maybe look also at what type of waste exists in the humanitarian context, and we could see that 57% of that waste was organic, and also all the existing initiatives that we have now, and we could observe in the field were actually not preventative measures, but they were initiatives that were already dealing with the waste, and specifically organic waste. So I think it is also good to like follow up a bit with these actors that we already identified, even research institutions and universities that already are doing some work on this, and also learn from them, because they understand the context and they know what kind of solutions could be applicable. And because it's just not about the solutions themselves, but also like the socioeconomic context and the general legal system, let's say, that's in the country. So I think that is also what we will be looking at basically throughout the project.
Great, thank you very much. Amro and Marta said that it was very useful webinar, and that they're happy that we had some joint initiative inputs to it, and we will be, of course, in touch through either a team of people in need or other partners that will be relevant for the discussions. We have additional question from Piotr. If we take into account another value of tackling biowaste beyond good for human, environment, animals, namely climate, by diverting biowaste from landfilling, we directly reduce the methane emission and instead turn it into the soil improver or feed. This can be like in fact be applied as climate action. So basically climate funding can be applied. Yes, we are also taking this into the consideration. This is also being taking the climate and the environment aspects, and like really like the whole process here is being part of, will be also part of the life cycle assessments of the solutions that will be proposed. So we are not forgetting this aspect, but we first need to narrow down the solutions in order to assess which and go deeper into the aspects such as climate and environment. But it is also part of the pre-screening. And I'm sorry if I don't see any. Do we have other question? We have some comments and discussions in the chat, which I'm very happy that are happening. But we are slowly running out of the time. So I would like to give just the floor if we have some solution provider that would like to maybe step in or jump in, or even some solution implementers. So we would be very happy to hear it live. We got quite a list also in the chat, but nothing better than having it during the session. So please go ahead if you have such a thing. Okay. Good. So if not, any floor for any question is still open. You also have we will Lara, if you can drop an email to inquiry to the chat, you will also get post webinar communication materials, where you will find the report that Maria and Anna were presenting, all the tools that are available to be used in your settings, to be adjusted, to really identify what are the solid waste management needs in the location. You can also reach out to Arthur and us with regards to the solutions that you have been, I would say, in touch with or having had experience with, because this is something that we are starting to work on right now, and actually this is why this webinar is right now happening. We took note of your emails and conversations, so we will reach out to those actors that we had this side note or side chat discussions. For sure, this is very important for us. And I want to just ask other speakers if you have some question or remarks for our audience, that some words of encouragement towards the next steps of Bio4HUMAN.
Yeah, if I may, I wanted to thank everyone for the comments and also for the offer of collaboration. We will definitely be happy to use this, especially Amro and Marta. Definitely, we, as Tadeusz was mentioning, we are planning to do some supply chain analysis. So if you have some capacity perhaps to comment on the methodology, definitely welcomed. the same for the packaging. So I think we have your contacts. I have your contacts. So I will definitely come back to you with more practical proposition how we could use your resources and knowledge. So thanks for that.
Yes, thank you very much. And I would like to also conclude this session. Thanks to our speakers, also Tadeusz, everyone who participated in the conversations. We are very happy that this was also the attendance, and we had such a lovely audience in the first thematic webinar of Bio4HUMAN. We will hold more sessions also in the autumn on specific types and efforts in the project. So please stay in touch with us. And you will also be able to find the recording of the webinar on the YouTube and on our social media. So if you want to go back to this session, please go ahead and do so. And at this time, I would just like to conclude and thank you very much, everyone, and hopefully see you very, very soon. So thank you and have a nice rest of your day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you
Bye-bye.
very much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
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 Thank you. Bye.